The stories shared on the Busy Baddies are submitted by real listeners and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. To protect from the privacy of everyone involved, all names, companies, and identifying details have been changed or omitted. Any resemblance to real people or events are purely coincidental. We believe in keeping it real while keeping it respectful. Thanks for sharing your experiences and for trusting us to spill the tea with care.
When the lights go low and the real work begins, this is the Busy Baddies.
Where assistants come uncensored, the stories get spicy, and the corporate filter, Control Alt Delete.
I'm Michelle, EA to the CEO of a Fortune 150 company,
And I'm Mel, former C Suite EA turned admin rebel.
and we're here to talk about the real stuff, the stories that never make it to the all hands meeting.
What happens when life knocks you down and there's no room to grieve, no space to fall apart? Come on, I know we've all been there.
Yeah, we're still expected to show up, polished, poised, and professional. The one who holds it all together, but at what expense is the question.
Yep, and I did, but inside I was falling apart and no one really knew. So today we're opening up.
We're talking about grief, burnout, the mental load, and how to stop pretending we're okay when we're not. So pull up a chair, take a deep breath, and
And
let's
let's get
get into
into
it.
it.
So I want to share something that I haven't really talked about a lot. I lost both of my parents in a span of 9 months. My mother lost her battle with cancer in the summer of 2023. Although it was something we knew was happening, it doesn't certainly soften the blow.
No.
Spring 2024, my dad was gone. It was sudden, it was devastating, and it was the worst version of deja vu. I obviously had flexibility with work around my hours, time to spend with family, the funeral, etc., but I never really took any me time.
Yeah, that's so heavy. And I remember that you didn't miss a beat. You were right back at it. And I remember I felt deeply concerned because I also could identify with your why. You didn't want to miss the beat. You didn't want to take the time. But I think that we've all been guilty of that before.
Yeah, for sure. I kept showing up, meetings, schedules, events, handled everything. I didn't really feel like I had the option to fall apart. When you're the one everyone leans on, you feel like you can't lean on anyone.
Sure.
And when you have, an executive, you feel that responsibility. I mean, my job is to support her.
Yeah.
Like that's the sole job. Job description, support her.
And the work doesn't stop just
No.
because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the time, obviously not realizing it, but you want to keep your mind
Hmm.
off of stuff.
Sure.
So, even an hour of work a day going through that,
Hmm.
it was a release, a
Yep.
mental release.
Yep.
But I just remember thinking, like, I got to get back to work.
Yeah. Yep.
And I always kind of wonder in the back of my mind, like, when is it really going to creep up and hit me
Yeah.
that my parents are gone?
Yeah.
Because I feel like because I didn't take any just time off to
Hmm.
do nothing, that I kind of swept it under the rug.
Sure. Like I think we've all been guilty of that. So not necessarily at the same heaviness, but for me, I've been there too. It was when my last living grandparent, my dad's mom, she passed the week before Thanksgiving, and less than a week later, my dad was on life support fighting for his life with congestive heart failure. And we didn't even know that he had heart issues.
Oh,
He was sick at the funeral, had been to the doctor. They told him that he had bronchitis. He had been on 2 rounds of antibiotics. Nobody, I guess, ran the correct tests and kind of put 2 and 2 together. But, it was just, it was like it felt like to me the rug had just been completely ripped. Like, and I
Mhm.
can't imagine because I remember the heaviness of thinking and knowing with my dad being on life support, I may never see him again.
Yeah.
Like, so for you to lose both in 9 months is like, I can't imagine the weight of that. But I also kept, most of what I felt to myself
Mhm.
going off of what you said because, in our roles, we're praised for being invisible and efficient, not really emotional or human,
Yeah.
you know?
Imagine that.
Right,
What a
right,
what a strange concept.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's part of our jobs where it kind of feels like we're robots,
Mhm.
as close to human
Sure.
as possible, but
Yep,
robots
yep.
nonetheless.
Mhm.
And not only that of your own emotional burden, but I know I'm guilty of it, of taking on that emotional burden
Mhm.
of my leader too.
Yep, yep.
Uh, they don't call us support humans
Right,
for nothing.
right. Yeah. We should wear service vests. And to your point, like, even when I was going through what I was going through, and I'm sure you experienced the same thing, I worked for an amazing, not only leader, but human being who was extremely supportive, take all the time you need. But to echo what you said, I also felt like I don't wanna let anybody down. I don't
Yeah.
want anything to fall through the
Yeah, or do they
cracks.
really mean that? Like,
Right.
do they really want me to take, 4 weeks off to
Yeah.
mourn the loss?
Yeah. That's
You
heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, I wore that strong label like armor.
Or like a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yep.
and, I was crying on my way into work,
Sure.
luckily I had an hour drive
Yeah.
and, thank goodness my husband, is with me most of those times, but I do remember in that period that there were specific days that I just drove myself to work and,
Mhm.
we had a playlist that we had done for my dad and I just cranked it on and
Let
bawled
it
my
all
eyes
out.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
So when I walked through that door, just turned it off.
Yeah, and mental health doesn't have a set time, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna hit you
Yeah.
when you want it to.
Mhm.
It's gonna come at very inconvenient, odd times.
Yeah.
It's never gonna be at the same time, there's never a good time, so, yeah, I just can't even imagine.
All right, so let's talk about the admin world and mental health. There's still a huge taboo around it. We don't get to say, I need a break. We get labeled unstable or unreliable if we admit we're struggling.
Right, so what you're saying is, when the support people have no real support, right?
Yeah.
And that your strong comment that you made, it becomes a trap. It feels like, you show any weakness, you failed some expectation you've never agreed to. Hello, we're human too.
Yeah. And in hybrid work, remote teams, now you're dealing with the isolation on top of the emotional weight. You're
Hmm.
behind a screen, still doing everything, but without a human connection.
Yeah, and let's be real, being the go-between means you carry everyone else's stress, your executives, your teams. You're basically the emotional air traffic controller, and there's no exit ramp for us.
As well as grief. I feel like in this role, it's a lot of loneliness.
Sure.
Being the leader of the team,
Hmm.
confidentiality, the things I'm all, in the know of, there's not really anybody I get to talk to,
Well, sure.
vent to,
Yeah.
just have that mental release of anything because you're always wondering, is are these people really my friends?
Sure.
Can I really just be vulnerable in this moment?
Hmm.
And that's a hard seat to be at.
Well, sure. I mean, and you're right because being at the top, uh, anything that feels even remotely authentic is always question of, is there an ulterior motive?
Yeah,
Do they wanna know something? What are they trying to get access to? Do they really care?
yeah. And I don't even think it's really legit things. I just
Mhm.
think it's one of those parts of the job that you can't help but think like that
Well, sure.
because we're so I don't want to say trained, but if if the trust is gone
Mhm.
my leader and I mean, I feel like I don't have a job,
You don't.
and there's never going to be a second chance.
Yeah.
And riding that line of what do I say, what do I not say? Can I vent to this one person and just, sure, it would make me feel better, but
Yeah.
where's that gonna go?
Yeah. And, vice versa, just a little story of a role that I had. I was an EA to a C-suite person and I would consider myself close to the EA to the CEO. Um, and her and I would go to lunch, and this is kind of a swap on what you're saying.
Mhm.
So she would almost dig for information from me about my leader, and one time it turned around on me. So there was like this scandalous thing that happened. We went to lunch. She used that opportunity to then ask me about this thing that she should have known nothing about.
Mhm.
And, unrightfully so, I totally effed up and gave her information that I should have not shared. But
Mhm.
in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this person is at the
She's a
top,
safe, yeah.
right? She is the safest place that I can talk about
Yeah.
this.
She would know, right?
Wrong.
Yeah.
Right. I got 2 days off without pay. They talked about terminating me. My boss got fired. I mean, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, so to me, it automatically made me, I was like, wow, like maybe the people up there also can be, so that's an interesting perspective too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you don't ever wanna think or be in that spot.
Mhm.
And to be able to have somebody, I mean, you think of everybody at work, where you feel pretty safe with a lot of
Mhm.
them, depending on, I guess, your personality. Do you trust people pretty quickly?
Mhm.
Um, but part of being in a team, you'd like to think, is the relationships you're building
Right.
and knowing you all are sworn to secrecy,
Mhm.
to feel like you couldn't just have an honest conversation and it lead to something that severe
Yeah.
is really hard.
Yeah, and it kinda ties back to last week's episode about, the power of team.
Mhm.
If you really are a really good cohesive collaborative team, that's great, but there's also people who experience wanting to be you and trying to figure out any way that they can tear you down in order
Yeah,
to be you,
yeah,
right?
which is crazy to think about.
But it
Yeah,
happens. Is so crazy.
yeah. So leave us a comment, share us stories. Anybody have some similar issues, loneliness at work?
Mhm.
You don't really know who you can talk to, or even if you've found a really good resource that you'd like to share
Yeah.
with others, it would be great.
Yeah, because I think mental health is uh, one of those things that's almost taboo. Like, it's almost sensed as weakness. I was luckily raised in a home where talking about how you feel was, highly promoted, so I'm an oversharer.
Hmm.
Um, I know and am close to and am even married to someone who does not talk about emotions, does not talk about how they feel about things, and there's a lot of loneliness with that too,
Yeah,
and I worry about mental health with that
yeah,
because that's not good that you don't at least try to find someone that you can, even if you test the waters,
yeah,
just share something small, see if they hold on to that. They don't weaponize that against you. They don't talk about that, but just see if, you can find someone to confide in, even if it's a resource at work, an EAP. At work we have a campaign where we have a mental health provider that we get, I want to say it's like 12 free sessions,
yeah,
but I mean, workplaces are usually pretty, I feel, cognizant of mental health.
yeah. It's certainly more so now
Hmm.
than I think in past.
Yeah, and tying back to last week's episode too about, it- us feeling the pressure of having to be something and just the heaviness of the world in general right
Yeah.
now, right?
Mhm.
Uh, everybody's struggling with something, wanting to be like someone, not feeling good enough. Online bullying is another big thing.
Yeah.
People, these trolls get behind these screens and feel empowered to, just completely rip people apart. And, you don't know what the other person on the other end of that is going through.
Yeah, not at all. And I think, another thing that's come out of COVID is
Hmm.
just being more
Yeah.
mindful of mental health
Yeah.
and, don't judge anybody
Hmm.
because you have no idea what they're going through outside of, your work wall.
Yeah. And, maybe if you're somebody who struggled with something during COVID, that's a great call out. I feel like a lot of mental health was at a very low point for a lot of people during that because you were severely isolated.
Yeah.
Um, you, like you said, you had to work at home alone. You were in the four walls that you were in. And for some people, that is damaging. I can't
Oh,
even
yeah, think
imagine.
all the extroverted folks that we know, I mean, talk about their worst nightmare,
Hmm.
I would imagine, is just sitting in a room.
Yes, that was me.
Yeah.
I was I mean, a huge extrovert. And I remember when they sent us home, I was like, this is going to be awful. And it was. It was me and my husband all the time. I don't know how much damn banana bread I made. It was like, how do I fill
Yeah.
my time? And it was such a
Yeah.
different way to work. But, listen for that episode. That's upcoming a little bit later this year. But it is a whole topic around the C word, not the four-letter C word, but the C word. So,
Right.
all right, let's do a little baddie break. Quick tips and real talk. If you're listening and wondering if you might be on the edge, here's a few signs you might not be okay, even if you're high functioning.
You stop sleeping or you sleep too much. You're snapping at your Outlook calendar. You haven't felt joy in weeks, but your executive's birthday gift is perfectly wrapped. Sound familiar?
All right, so newsflash. Here's your permission slip. Take the mental health day, period. Don't ask like it's a favor. Request it like it's part of your compensation because it is.
And actual self care. It's not just wine and candles, it's boundaries, it's logging off, it's not checking email during grief, it's therapy, walks, ugly crying, and saying no.
And boundaries is a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you set them? What do those look like? Being rigid in those.
And even sharing maybe the signs that you know
Hmm.
and sharing those with your leaders.
Hmm. Absolutely.
You know, these sit down, have a one-on-one and just say, "Hey, I'm going through some stuff."
Hmm.
Uh, fill them in
Hmm.
and if and give them those signs
Hmm.
of here's what I know myself to do
Sure.
and let them call you on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold yourself accountable, hold them accountable, because I think too, the flip side to that is leaders oftentimes run at a faster pace. They forget to take the time, maybe even book that in for them, and allow yourself permission to at that same afternoon take vacation time. You know, if they're going to be off for a half a day and you have time to take,
Yeah, leave.
go get a massage,
Yeah.
do something for yourself, lay on the couch and rot and watch Housewives or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, you have the luxury of knowing the calendar for
Mhm.
your
That's
leaders.
right. You hold
If
it.
if they're taking off early,
Take off.
take off,
Yep.
and go enjoy the rest of the day because we all know that there's ebbs and flows and
Mhm.
there's going to be times where you're working 60 hours a week.
Yep.
It's bored or whatever the case may be. So if you see that little break, take it.
Yeah. So do you have any boundaries that you like hard set or
I because my boss and I are such early birds,
Mhm.
and I feel like because we both, uh, get up early, she works out, I feel like my work day is a lot longer, so on Fridays, I like to be off at 2.
Sure.
That's where I'm targeting to be done and just
Mhm.
have that 2 to 5 to just kind of chill out.
Yep.
Don't really use much brain power.
Yeah.
You mentioned Housewives. I love all things reality TV.
Same.
And, my husband doesn't get done working till 5, so that 3 hours
Mhm.
is tremendous for me.
Yeah, because I feel like the Friday hits, and at 5 o'clock, I literally feel like someone has went into my eardrum, pulled my brain out of my head, and I'm like, Goldie Hawn on Overboard where she's just sitting there going, "Ba ba 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 ba," like, that's what I feel like, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's again, it's the mental taxiness of the job that we do because you always have to be on. You always have to be emotionally intelligent of the people around you. What is my boss feeling? How are
Yeah.
they going to, receive this? What's their day like? What's their mood? We are just like emotional ricochets, you
Well,
know?
yeah, and we're the face of the leader.
Hmm.
So, you can't answer the phone and have a shitty attitude, you
You'd be like,
know?
what the hell do you want?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I can tell towards the end of the week and,
Hmm.
those near and dear to my heart at work, that version of Michelle you're getting on Teams when,
Yeah.
it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
it's like, just spit it out already.
Jesus, that
Like,
is my least favorite Teams message to get. Like,
hey,
I hate pleasantries. Get to the point. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying that you can't be friendly and say, "Hey, how are you?" But in that, go ahead and just spit out what it is that you
yeah.
want because
We both know it's not to just check on
right.
me.
Time is money. It's efficiency. But and that's a great comment too of if you see somebody on at 7 o'clock in the morning, just send them a message and say, "Hey, how you doing? I see
Yeah,
that you're on early." And being cognizant of other people around you's mental health.
yeah,
Like,
it's
it doesn't
great.
have to be an out loud thing, where you're in the middle of a meeting and you're like, "Hey, what's wrong with you? You look really sad," or like, "You seem angry." Do that in private, but
Yeah,
help somebody.
yeah, absolutely. We could all be a little kinder.
100%. The
All
world
right.
needs a lot of kindness.
Yeah, so call to action. And we'll kick this off with if you're a leader listening, check on your assistant.
Yes, so important. And not just in one-on-ones, but, you know, I've always been really blessed with great leaders who have always kind of pulled that out of me because I am
Mhm.
of the generation where I was raised that your feelings had no place in the workplace.
Yeah.
So, that's a great call to action.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't assume because they're efficient, they're okay.
Right, exactly. And we see you. We are you. We hope that this episode reminds you that you're not alone even when it feels like it.
Yep. We'll link some mental health resources in the show notes. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Because you're not just the backbone of the business, you're human and you matter. And also a friendly reminder that you can't pour from an empty cup.
No,
So, take care of yourself. Baddies need a little bit of love too. And
that's right.
just stay strong, support each other, and be the person that you want others to be towards you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. That's it for us today, bringing order to corporate chaos.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that follow button.
Yours truly, Melissa,
And Michelle,
the
the
Busy
Busy
Baddies.
Baddies.